the fog, he saw shadows and strange and scary shapes. "Scary Jack Frost," he whispered nervously. "Pah!" "Hello, James?" muttered Percy icily.
Jack Frost was another episode that stuck out to me when I was a kid, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Most widely known is what happens to Percy in this episode, and that alone is normally what makes this episode stand out to people, but for me it was almost the very serious and scary tension that the episode held, which is normally the exact opposite of what's featured in a kid's show that features snow, and all of this combined definitely led to this episode having at least some sort of relevance to me. It may not have been my favorite as a kid, but it was definitely up there. After rewatching the episode, I was inspired to actually bring the model to real life, and this time not in a Trackmaster form. However, I would implement the same modeling techniques. For example, the ice you see here, just like the Trackmaster one, was actually made using Woodland Scenic's water effects, as not only is it easy to form sickles with it, but it also dries to a nice whitish transparent look. Using the water effects, I would follow Percy's body, and trying to follow the episode, I would place a lot of sickles not only on his face, but on top of him as well. I also would add little icicles to his buffers and hook, just for extra detail. The back of Percy was achieved in a very similar way, featuring dangling icicles not only from the coal bunker, but the lamp and buffers as well. I would also use the effects to try to cover the coal in his bunker, as in the episode when this happens, he actually doesn't have any. I tried to get the water effects to clump on his sides and front, as I wanted it to look like there had been an accumulation of snow and ice that had built up on him, and once all of that had dried, I took some white spray paint, and from a distance would try to dust Percy with it. As a quick note, I also did mask up the wheels upon doing all of this, but did my best to leave the green and piston exposed, as I wanted them to also follow the same scheme that his body had. For his face, I would use a standard wooden railway Percy, and using those water effects, I would not only add his icy chin, but his nose as well. Don't expect this face to be on Percy for very long, as there actually is a Jack Frost wooden railway model, and the face for it is way better than the one that I have now. Shout out to my man Marvin Jerry for not only helping me find, but actually acquire such. So with a little bit of time, expect this inaccurate smiley face to be out the window. With all of that done, however, Percy was pretty much completed. However, I would go back and add some ice on his footplate and other different places. After a coat of matte clear, everything was locked in place and Percy was ready to go. Now that we know how I made Percy, let's see how he actually performs. As I'm sure you all are going to be able to tell, the layout has changed, and there's actually two reasons for that. The first one being here soon I'm actually planning on making a new table as a whole, one that's a little bigger and that I can fit more on. And secondly, as I'm sure you're able to tell, is the inclusion of play rail track. And the reason that's now included is here soon I would actually like to start collecting and reviewing those again. So be sure to keep your eye out for that, as I'll actually be doing that right beside the model engines as well. For now, I just figured it'd be okay next to the N and HO track. Though there's still more to be done to it, overall I would have to say that this is probably one of my favorite custom models. In time I'm hoping to have the face corrected, but besides that, I would say that the model itself looks pretty good. Unfortunately, in the episode when Percy is like this, a good portion of his body isn't visible, for example the back end and as well as the bottom. So in the end I did have to take some creative liberties, but I still feel as if it paid off. Thankfully I still think he captures that Jack Frost look very well. I'll be posting the extra work that's done to Percy on my Instagram, so if you want to keep up with the updates that come to this guy, be sure to follow me on there. But with all that being said though, hopefully you guys enjoyed taking a look at my custom HO scale Jack Frost Percy. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.